Hey Stoic friends, welcome back. Have you ever had a day that changed everything? Not because the world around you shifted, but because you did? Not because of some miracle, not because of luck or timing, but because you finally saw things for what they truly are. That was the day everything clicked for me. The noise fell away. The distractions lost their power, and in their place, clarity, stillness, strength. What if I told you there are 9 principles, ancient, piercing, and unshakably true, that can shatter the illusion you've been living under? Principles that don't just sound good. They hit you like a storm, leave you breathless, and force you to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. These are the principles that rewired my thinking in a single day. Not because I became perfect overnight, but because I realized the truth, and from that moment on, I could never return to the old way of living. The veil was lifted, the excuses died, and something deeper took root. These aren't just ideas, they're weapons of the soul. The Stoics didn't write to impress, they wrote to ignite. Their words were born from battle, carved out in exile, in illness, in war. They spoke about what it means to be human, truly human, and they handed us the map to something more powerful than comfort, freedom. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they lived what they taught, and through them, I saw that life isn't about avoiding pain, it's about becoming stronger than it. If you've felt lost, stuck, numb to life, and exhausted by it all, this is your moment. Because what you need isn't another empty promise. You need truth. You need direction. You need principles you can live by, bleed for, build on. And that's what this video is. I'm going to share the 9 Stoic principles that transformed my life in one day. The shift wasn't in the world. It was in me. If you're ready to reclaim your strength, to see clearly, to walk through chaos with peace in your chest and fire in your eyes, then you're exactly where you need to be. Let's begin. Number 1, you are not your thoughts. You are your actions. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." And that one line shattered every illusion I had about self-growth. Because for years, I thought awareness was enough. I thought reading made me wise, and journaling made me disciplined. But the Stoics knew what most people never grasp. Thoughts mean nothing without the weight of action. You can write about strength in your notebook, but if you crumble when life hits you, those words were empty. You can meditate on virtue, but if you don't live it in your choices, it's just decoration for your ego. I had to face that truth, brutally. I realized I'd built an identity around my intentions. But intentions don't create impact. Actions do. And that's when everything in my life began to shift. I stopped admiring greatness and started practicing it. I stopped fantasizing about being calm under pressure and started holding the line when everything inside me wanted to break. I stopped waiting to feel ready, and I moved, scared, uncertain, imperfect, but committed. Because the Stoic doesn't worship theory. He lives by practice. He doesn't hide behind beautiful words. He proves them in silence, through repetition, through resolve. I stopped asking, "Do I believe this?" and started asking, "Do I live this?" Because that's the real test. Do you hold to your principles when it costs you? Do you remain disciplined when no one's watching? Do you live your values not when it's easy, but when it's brutally hard? That's where identity is forged, and that's where I stepped into mine. I began to understand something the modern world has forgotten. You are not what you post. You are not what you say. You are not what you think. You are only what you do. That's your truth. And once I aligned my actions with who I claimed to be, the fog cleared. Confidence didn't come from hype. It came from evidence. Self-respect didn't come from affirmations. It came from execution. I became someone I could rely on, not because I was perfect, but because I showed up. When it rained, I trained. When it hurt, I stayed calm. When doubt came, I still moved forward. And that consistency rewrote every story I had about myself. You want real power? Then stop identifying with your mind. It shifts like the wind. Start rooting yourself in action. Because every act of discipline, every moment of restraint, every choice to stay true when no one is clapping, that's where character is carved. That's where self-worth is born. Not in the thinking, in the doing. The Stoics never promised ease. They promised clarity. And here it is. If you want to know who you are, don't look in the mirror. Look at your behavior. Do you run when things get hard? Or do you face it head on? Do you talk about principles? Or do you live them? The answer is in your habits. It's in your discipline. It's in the way you carry yourself when no one's watching. That's your true self, not your thoughts, not your image, not your aspirations, just your actions. So from this moment forward, raise your standard. If you believe it, live it. If you value it, prove it. If you speak it, show it in silence. Because talk fades, thoughts fade, but action leaves a mark. And that's the legacy the Stoic builds, one act at a time. Number 2, control the inner world, and the outer world loses its power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In those words lies a truth so profound, so piercing, it can shatter the illusion we've lived under our entire lives. Because for most of us, we've been taught the opposite. That life happens to us. That we are the victims of circumstances, of people, of fate. And so we try, desperately, to manage everything around us. We try to bend the world to our will, begging it to be softer, quieter, easier. But the Stoics knew the futility in that pursuit. They understood something most people will never grasp. That true power is not found in controlling what's out there. It's found in mastering what's in here. The day I embraced this principle, my life began to shift. Not slowly, but violently, like a veil being torn away. I realized I'd given too much power to things that had no business holding it. People's opinions, unexpected outcomes, rejection, delays, disappointments, they weren't the problem. My response to them was, you see, the external world can offer chaos, but only you can offer permission. The world can throw storms, but only you can decide whether to stand or sink. And so I made a decision to take back the throne within my own soul. No more reacting like a puppet to every emotion, every disruption, every judgment. No more being a prisoner of things I could never truly control. I started small, a deep breath when anger rose, silence when I wanted to lash out, gratitude when things didn't go my way. And slowly, moment by moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, freedom. Because this is what the Stoics understood. When you master your inner world, the outer world becomes irrelevant. Its power shrinks, its grip loosens, and you begin to see that peace was never about having a perfect life. It was about having a powerful mind. People will disappoint you. Plans will collapse. Life will test you in ways you never imagined. But if you have command over your own mind, none of that can shake you. You become anchored, rooted, steady. This is what Marcus taught. Not how to avoid adversity, but how to remain undefeated in its presence. This is the Stoics' path, not one of avoidance, but of absolute inner command. where strength isn't shouted, it's silent, where control isn't exercised over others, but over self. So, ask yourself, who truly holds the reins of your life? Is it your circumstances or your choices, your emotions or your values, your fear or your focus? The answer doesn't lie out there, it lies within. And once you turn inward and claim that power, you become untouchable, not because the world changes, but because you do. This is the principle that changed me, not a motivational quote, not a theory, but a revelation, that the storm outside can rage, and yet inside there can still be peace. Because when you control the inner world, the outer world loses its power. Number 3, every difficulty is fuel. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." How many times have you faced challenges and thought, why is this happening to me? We all want the easy path, the one where there's no struggle, no pain, and no resistance. But what if pain isn't a punishment? What if hardship is not there to destroy you, but to prepare you, to make you stronger than you ever thought possible? This principle shifted everything for me. There was a time when I ran from challenges, when I resented the struggles life threw my way. I wanted comfort, I wanted peace, and I thought avoiding discomfort was the path to happiness. But I was wrong. It wasn't until I understood the Stoic view of difficulty that I realized the struggle isn't here to defeat you, it's here to shape you. Every hardship in my life became a chance to grow. Every failure became a lesson. Every obstacle, an opportunity to forge a stronger version of myself. The Stoics teach us that difficulties don't weaken us, they strengthen us. Just as physical labor strengthens the body, the mental and emotional labor we endure in the face of adversity strengthens our mind. The key is to stop seeing pain as something to avoid and start seeing it as fuel to propel you forward. The Stoic mind doesn't shy away from the storm. It steps into it, knowing that the pressure will mold them into something greater. For me, this shift came when I stopped resenting life's difficulties. I stopped wishing for an easy life. I began to embrace the struggle, to use it to my advantage. Every setback became a step forward. Every insult became a sharpening stone. I no longer saw hardship as an enemy, but as a partner in my growth. The Stoic doesn't run from pain. They don't avoid discomfort. They face it head on, because they know that through every challenge, they become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Obstacles aren't in the way. They are the way. When you adopt this mindset, you stop fearing the struggle. You start welcoming it. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? You begin to see that your greatest challenges are the very things that will make you who you're meant to be. This is not about pretending hardship doesn't hurt. It's about understanding that through the pain comes growth. It's about choosing to see every obstacle not as a roadblock, but as the path to the person you're becoming. The next time you face difficulty, don't ask, why me? Ask yourself, how can I use this to become stronger? Embrace the challenge, for it is the very fuel that will propel you toward your highest potential. Number 4, you are responsible for your soul, no one else. Epictetus reminded us, no man is free who is not master of himself. In a world filled with distractions and excuses, it's easy to fall into the trap of blaming others. We blame the government, the economy, our upbringing, our circumstances. The world tells us it's someone else's fault that we're stuck, unhappy, or unfulfilled. But the Stoic knows something profound. The moment you point your finger, you forfeit your power. This realization shattered me. I used to blame the outside world for my problems. I blamed other people for how I felt, for my setbacks, for my failures. But then I read those words from Epictetus, and they cut deep. No man is free who is not master of himself. It dawned on me. As long as I'm blaming others, I'm giving them control over my life. Freedom begins with responsibility, and that responsibility lies within us. We can't control how others act, how the world turns, or what cards life deals us. But we always have control over how we respond. We control our thoughts, our emotions, and most importantly, the decisions we make in every situation. This principle isn't just a nice idea. It's the foundation of personal growth. It's the realization that no one can make you feel inferior. No one can control your happiness unless you let them. You have the power. You have the ability to rise above your circumstances, but only if you stop waiting for someone else to change. Stop waiting for the world to be different and take full ownership of your life. When I internalized this idea, everything changed. No more excuses, no more pointing fingers. I stopped waiting for others to change before I could be happy, successful, or at peace. I had to look in the mirror and own everything, my mistakes, my failures, my struggles. But I also had to own my potential, my strengths, my victories, and my future. We are the architects of our own souls. What we choose to believe about ourselves, how we choose to react to the world, and how we choose to take responsibility for our own lives. This is what determines who we become. No one else can shape your soul but you. This is freedom. The freedom to stop blaming the world and start owning your life. The freedom to accept that your happiness, your growth, and your success are in your hands. Your soul is yours to nurture, to grow, and to protect. So, the next time you feel like blaming someone or something, pause. Recognize that you are the one who holds the key to your peace, your progress, and your future. You are responsible for your soul. Own it. And with that ownership comes the power to rise above anything the world throws your way. Number 5. Let death be your advisor. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Memento mori. Remember, you must die." This principle didn't make me fear death. It made me respect life. The very thought of death used to haunt me. I feared the end, the unknown, the loss. But the Stoic approach, embodied by Marcus Aurelius, taught me something profound. Rather than letting death paralyze me with fear, I could use it to awaken me to the preciousness of life. When you truly accept the reality that life is fleeting, something shifts inside you. Suddenly, you stop wasting time. The trivial distractions that once consumed you, the petty worries, the endless procrastination, none of it matters. You become aware that time is your most finite resource, and that awareness injects your life with urgency, purpose, and clarity. You could leave life right now. That phrase struck me. It wasn't a morbid reminder of my inevitable end. It was a powerful call to action. What am I doing with my time? Am I wasting it, or am I using it to build something meaningful? Am I holding back from pursuing my dreams, from speaking my truth, from taking action? The thought of death forces you to ask these questions, and when you truly ask, the answers become clear. What I realized was this: every moment matters. We get so caught up in the day-to-day grind, the endless to-do lists, the noise of the world, that we forget how fragile life is. We forget that every moment could be our last. But when you embrace the reality of your mortality, you start to live differently. You begin to speak your mind. You stop holding grudges, stop postponing conversations that need to happen. You stop putting off the things that truly matter, and you start living with intention. Death doesn't take away your power. It gives you power. It pushes you to be bolder, to take risks, to chase your dreams with an urgency that you didn't feel before. Because the truth is, none of us know when our time will run out. We are not guaranteed another day, another hour, or another minute. Live like your time is sacred. Because it is. This doesn't mean living in fear, constantly obsessed with the end. It means living fully, living with purpose, living as if each day is a gift, because it truly is. It's the simple awareness that the clock is ticking, and that should motivate you to do everything you've been putting off. Say what needs to be said. Do what must be done. Be who you're meant to be. Don't wait for tomorrow to live your life today. Let death be your advisor. Let it remind you to live now. Let it push you to live in a way that when the end comes, you'll have no regrets. You'll look back on your life and know that you didn't waste a single moment. That is the power of remembering death, not as something to fear, but as something to respect. It's the greatest reminder that time is precious. So, use it wisely. Number 6. Comfort is a cage. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In a world that is constantly offering us more convenience, more luxury, more comfort, we are led to believe that these things are the key to a good life. Every ad, every product, every new technology promises us that comfort equals happiness, that ease equals success. But what the Stoics knew, and what I learned the hard way, is that comfort does not make us stronger. It weakens us. It softens our resolve and dulls our sense of purpose. True strength, true freedom, is found outside of comfort. It is found in the willingness to endure discomfort and to embrace challenge. The Stoics saw through the illusion of comfort long ago, and they understood that it can become a trap, one that lulls you into complacency and prevents growth. The comfort we chase may feel good in the moment, but it is fleeting, and in its pursuit, we lose something far more valuable: our resilience, our discipline, and our ability to rise above adversity. It was a moment of realization that truly transformed my thinking. The day I decided to embrace voluntary discomfort, to step out of my cushioned life, was the day I found my strength. I began fasting, pushing my body to endure hunger for longer periods. I exposed myself to cold, whether it was a brisk walk in the early morning or a cold shower. I spent time in silence, breaking away from the constant noise and distractions around me, just to be alone with my thoughts. At first, it was painful. It felt unnatural. I wasn't used to the discomfort, but over time, I started to notice something. The discomfort didn't break me. It built me. I began to see discomfort not as an enemy, but as a tool for growth. Each moment of resistance became a chance to strengthen my will, to push myself beyond the limits I had once thought were impossible. Comfort lulls you into a false sense of security. It tells you that you're doing fine, that you've earned a break, that everything is okay. But that's the lie. Comfort makes you weak. It robs you of the drive to improve, to challenge yourself, to grow. It makes you soft. It clouds your judgment and leads you into a life of mediocrity. But discomfort is the wake-up call you need. It forces you to confront your weaknesses. It challenges your beliefs. It demands that you rise to the occasion and face what you fear. In discomfort, you find clarity. You learn to push through the pain, to move beyond your comfort zone, and to become the best version of yourself. It may be hard at first, but discomfort is the forge in which your strength is made. When you begin to train your mind to endure discomfort, when you make it a part of your daily life, you start to build a resilience that is unshakable. Your body too learns to obey, to work through the strain, to keep going even when it feels like it can't. And this is where true freedom begins. Because when you are no longer bound by the need for comfort, you are free to pursue the things that truly matter. True freedom is not found in luxury or ease. It is found in the ability to endure, to persevere, to rise above the challenges that life throws at you. When you can endure discomfort, you have access to a level of strength and power that cannot be bought or given. It must be earned. So challenge yourself. Seek out discomfort. Let it be the catalyst for your growth. Because in the end, it is not the comfort you find that makes you strong. It is the discomfort you learn to embrace. Number 7. Live by a code. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Life, without clear principles, is nothing more than chaos. It's like trying to navigate a stormy sea without a compass, drifting aimlessly, reacting to whatever the tides bring. One day, you're driven and focused. The next, you're lost in distractions, confused about your purpose. One moment, you act with honor and discipline. The next, you're easily swayed by the opinions of others. This unpredictability weakens the spirit and leaves you vulnerable to every external force. But the Stoics understood something profound. Without a code, you have no direction. When you live without core values, you are at the mercy of circumstances. However, when you define your values, honor, courage, discipline, truth, you create a foundation so strong that no storm can shake it. These principles become your inner compass, guiding you through the toughest of times. I wrote down my code. I committed to living by it, not when it's convenient, not when it's easy, but especially when it's difficult. There's power in living with intention, in holding yourself accountable to a set of standards that don't bend to life's whims. Your code is your anchor, your foundation, the rock you stand on when the world seems unstable. A man without a code is like a leaf tossed in the wind, constantly changing direction, influenced by every breeze. But a Stoic who lives by a code is like a mountain in a storm, steadfast, unmovable, and enduring, no matter how fierce the winds blow. Your code isn't just a set of ideals. It's a way of life. It's a promise you make to yourself that you will live with integrity, stay true to your values, and never let external forces dictate who you are or what you stand for. The world may try to pull you in different directions, but when you live by a code, you know exactly who you are and where you're going. So, ask yourself, what is your code? What do you stand for? Define it. Write it down. Live it. Because in a world that's constantly changing, your principles will be the only constant you can rely on. Number 8. Silence is strength. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In a world driven by noise, where everyone seems to want to be heard, there is unmatched power in silence. Most people speak to be acknowledged, to fill space, to show they matter. But the Stoic knows that the real strength lies not in how loud you can speak, but in how deeply you can listen. This principle shifted the way I approached every interaction. I stopped speaking out of habit and started listening with intention. Instead of filling silence with my own thoughts, I made space for others to express theirs. What I found in that silence was profound. It wasn't emptiness. It was clarity. It was understanding. I realized that so much of what we need to know can only be found in the quiet moments when we allow others to speak and when we choose to reflect before reacting. Silence isn't about withdrawing. It's about creating a space for real connection. You don't have to prove your worth through words. You prove it through your actions, through your presence, through the way you listen and respond with intention. Noise is cheap. Silence is strength. The Stoic doesn't need to shout to be heard. Their actions speak louder than words ever could. When you embrace silence, you take back control over your energy, your emotions, and your relationships. You don't need to fill every moment with chatter. Instead, listen deeply, think carefully, and speak with purpose. True power is found not in the noise you make, but in the strength of your silence. Embrace it. Let silence be your strength, and watch how it transforms your life and relationships. Number 9, be the example you never had. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule Rome with fear. He ruled with virtue. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This principle changed everything for me. It reminded me that waiting for someone else to show me the way was a waste of precious time. Instead, I could choose to be the example I needed. I could create the standard, not just wait for it to be set. You don't need a perfect role model to guide you. What you need is a relentless decision to rise higher, to stand taller, and to lead with honor, especially when the world around you often rewards deceit and shortcuts. This realization gave me a sense of purpose that nothing else could. I didn't need to be perfect, but I did need to be constant in my pursuit of integrity. I became the example I had once hoped for, someone who stands firm in their values, even when it feels difficult or lonely. There is power in leading by example. When you walk with dignity, when you show up consistently with honor, others begin to follow, whether they realize it or not. You don't need to convince anyone with words. Your actions speak for you. Be the light in the room when darkness threatens to cloud the vision of others. Be the one who refuses to compromise on what is right, even when the world tells you it's easier to do so. By being the example, you set a new standard for yourself and for everyone who crosses your path. In a world that constantly shifts, you can be the unwavering example. You can be the one who chooses virtue, who lives with integrity, and who refuses to let circumstances dictate their actions. When you choose to be the example, you not only elevate your life, but you raise the bar for others too. So, be the change. Lead with honor. Walk with dignity. Be the example the world needs, especially when no one else is stepping up. And remember, even if no one is watching, your example will speak louder than anything else you could say. These 9 principles are not mere theories. They are powerful tools, weapons, and timeless truths that can elevate your soul. They transformed my life in a single day. Because the moment I understood them, I didn't just learn them, I committed to them. Let these principles shift your mindset. Let them cut through the noise of distraction. Let them become the compass that guides your every thought and action. Now, it's your turn. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, subscribe, because you never know who might need to hear this truth. Stand tall, live free, and never forget. The Stoic path is hard, but so are you. Live Stoic, live strong, and never break.